Well, Miles Beckler, the most helpful internet marketer on earth, most helpful content creator to content creators. Super thanks for connecting. So honored and blessed to have you on.
Cheers, Josh. Happy to be here. Look forward to the conversation and coming up with some cool value stuff for the audience. And thanks for having me on, dude. Really appreciate it.
And man, we're going to inspire, challenge, get some people off the couch and rock it out.
Into action.
I was struggling with a title, and I wrote like 5 or 6, and you just have so much value to bring. I was like, how do we summarize Miles in a 20-40 minute conversation with one title that can't be done?
Well, let's see.
So,
We'll play with the title game afterwards. And,
yeah.
I think we're all dynamic beings, right? And like in one sense, it's great to be a specialist because then you stand in one silo. But most of us have a lot of different things that we're into. And when you really kind of push forward on all long enough, you can find that weird balance point that I've seemed to have found personally. And it's a lot of fun when you do that. So it's possible for pretty much anyone to find these kind of cool
Yeah,
little niches in the
that
world.
was actually my very first question, was that you had a saying in some Q&A. You said, we are creators in the image and likeness of the creator.
Yep.
And then every person has a why here and a purpose. And I wanted to ask how becoming a content creator has helped you uncover that, why you're here, what you're doing, kind of your place in space.
Massively, right? So it's the idea that we all need heroes, and at the same time we're all potentially heroes for other people. And when more people kind of like stand in that hero role, doing that which you have unique talents for, our world becomes a better place. Like I really do believe that this like magical globe, this blue and green sphere, has all of the solutions to all of the problems here on it. And with 8 billion problems and all kinds of, with 8 billion humans, might be 8 billion problems also, but 8 billion humans and all the socioeconomic, dramatic, political, all just, there's so many problems that like we humans are the solutions to those problems. And like, how do we solve the problems today? Most people turn to something like YouTube or Google when you have a problem, right? Like I have a problem. I want to learn how, I don't care if it's fixing a washing machine or like what is self-awareness or how do I meditate. I turn to this device and I type into Google how to meditate, enter, and then Google shows me a list. Or I go to YouTube, how to meditate.
Yeah.
I look, right? So what the kind of, to bring it all together is when we begin to create content that is that which uplifts us and we kind of feel that tug inside, other people will find that to be helpful and we get to know our bit more. And I use the word bit a lot, like comedians have their bits, right? And I mean, it's taken me 500 videos to like, what am I about? Like, what is the point? And it's that whole kind of like, writing is not to necessarily specifically communicate an idea. Like oftentimes writing is a process of discovery. It's a process of learning. In my videos there, I'm learning things deeper. I'm writing down processes more clearly when I go to teach it than I am when I just do it on my own. And if everybody embraced that inner creator, and again, I don't care if you're into quilting, knitting, religion, like philosophy, like anything, but when everybody embraces that creator, we create these little kind of connection points across the globe with people searching for help. And it really kind of could improve the quality of life for, billions of humans, I think, when more people embrace it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I genuinely, I think there's a huge kind of creativity myth, and that certain people are creative and certain people are not, or certain people have creativity. And I do not, because I don't play music or because I don't paint on a canvas.
Right.
And we are going through a book right now. It's actually like, it's how to kind of prepare your teens for life, basically. And I wish that it was written to mid 30-year-olds because this cover, like, I need to hear this basically every day of what creative individual am I and how do I dial that in. So I think that's comes alongside with what you're saying, is that quilting, yes, that's probably in the arts, but even the meditation wouldn't necessarily be creative, quote unquote. And that
Totally. And for a long time, I had this limiting belief that I'm not a creator, that I was behind the scenes guy. I was a numbers guy. I was a data geek. I ran the back end of my wife's website, which we started in 2009. But yet I felt off. Something was missing. And I wanted to share what I knew, because I've been playing this digital marketing game since the early 2000s, the late 1990s. So I've got a large body of knowledge, and it was literally gnawing at me. And I was drinking a lot at that point in time in my life. I was suppressing the internal calling to be more and do more through chemicals. At one point, I smoked a bunch of weed. I drank about, and it was literally suppressing that. And once I just started letting it go, and like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm going to start. I have to, because I'm literally going to destroy myself if I don't let this that's in me out. And now that I've habituated that process, my life has evolved and changed in ways that I couldn't even have imagined a few years ago, all for the better. And it's not without its challenges, right? Trolls show up on YouTube, and we just hit these tech challenges. But ultimately, like, if you were to add it all up and sum it up and do some math equation, it's a massive net positive in my life. And I think so many people can do this. There's, one YouTuber I love, the Granny Gamer. She's in her 80s. She plays these like hardcore PC games like Skyrim, and she's like, okay, grandkids, today we're going to go. And she's like, literally, and she has like 450,000 subscribers. She's got sponsors giving her these massive gaming computers, and she's just videotaping herself, and she loves it. She's having so much fun. And there's these like young kids following her, like, go granny, go, rooting her on. And it's just, there's so much awesomeness. There's so much uplifting in that. And, is that world changing per se? It is in her life in her 80s. Like, that gives her meaning. It gives her community. It gives her a lot. And all these kids get to support her. And like, it really actually is a positive beacon of light in our world that, boy, you turn on the wrong channel and it's like, ain't nothing light coming out of most of the channels and most of those broadcast media.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of systems in place, right? The public school system is literally designed to create factory workers. We don't have factories anymore, right? So we have all these systems in place. There's an agricultural system that's kind of factory farming that is designed to maximize profits from food, and the byproduct of that often is these really terrible diseases people deal with because they've been eating rubbish food. And then there's a system for that, right? Then there's the pharmaceutical companies who make money on the back end of that. And when we kind of unplug and just do our thing our way and share it with the world, you start to find there's a million and one ways to, I don't like skinning cats. So, there's many ways to shuck some corn, if you will. And it's just living a more creative life expression, I think. And it's more fulfilling. It can be very lucrative once we kind of follow through enough, but really, I think it's more about the fulfillment than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I am so thankful that you overcame those fears, overcame those obstacles, those limiting beliefs, and stuck to it. Your search bar on YouTube and your search bar on your blog are absolutely the best resources that I, as a content creator, anybody else as a content creator, I, as a online marketer, want to get into, want to think about, want to figure out what questions I need to ask. Those two search bars are the most valuable in the world. And thank you
Thanks,
for
man.
those. It's a big deal.
And it's amazing when you look at them today to think that I literally had a block that I'm not a content creator. And like, I made 550 videos. I've done nothing but jabber these gums for like 3 years nonstop. You're like, really? There was a time when you had that, and like, everyone deals with that. And I think that's a part of like the process of life, right? Like, that's living a fulfilled life, is overcoming challenges. We're not meant to be comfortable through the whole life process. Like, everything's contrast in this world. There's light, there's dark, there's up, there's down, there's north, there's south. Magnets have positive and negative polarity. That we live in that kind of a universe. So we kind of need to be pushing ourselves. Tony Robbins says that every human being needs certainty and every human being needs uncertainty in their life. And this was kind of one of my ways of creating that, and trusting that, like, I feel this pulling, I feel this calling, I'm supposed to do this. I don't know where it's going. I don't even know if it's going to help people. And then I get those kind of comments from you, which I appreciate that greatly, that like all that work was for great things. And when you look at the numbers, the 6 million people who have found my videos, it's astonishing, to be perfectly honest with you, that I'm just brain dumping what I've been doing for 16 years. And sure enough, millions of people are showing up and enjoying and getting value from it. And it's fulfilling in a way that checks in the mail just don't quite get to.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a quote I wanted to read to you. Selfless service to the right person, subject, or cause brings about a sense of purpose and intrinsic reward that transcends the infatuation or immediate gratification. And I think that hearing your guys' story, you got the Colorado cold cabin, drifty kind of, whenever Ask Angels was kind of in the, do we continue on this journey or do we bail?
Tahoe.
Tahoe, okay. Do we
Yep.
continue on this journey or do we bail on this journey? And I think
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to talk about that quote, is that selfless service, I
Yeah.
think, is really the place that you guys came to in that moment.
And everything opened up from there. So for the listeners who aren't familiar with that part of my story, so my wife and I co-founded a website in 2009, Angels Meditation Spirituality. My wife loves this space. I love this. I still meditate every single day. About 2012, we had been working on it for about 3 years, seeing a little bit of results, but we're both still working full-time jobs. We're spending 16 hours a day. We're not going to barbecues. We're not going to happy hours. We're not doing anything other than work, right? We work the day job to pay the rent, and then we're working on our side hustle, nights, weekends, mornings, everything. And we had this moment of like, are we ever going to be able to make enough money to support ourselves from this? And I remember distinctly this talk, a little drafty cabin on the North Shore of Lake Tahoe. And we came to the conclusion of whether or not this can take care of us, this is what we're on this earth to do. We literally came here to share these messages. We literally came here to share what we've learned. And a part of what we learned was, out of that depression that I went through and the really kind of low points, meditation's the only thing that felt good to me. And when Melanie and I met, we were both meditating 2, 3, 4 hours a day because we both kind of hated our lives at the time. So we brought this overlap and this understanding that meditation really, there's something powerful in turning the ego mind off for a little bit of time, at least every single day. And we had that point in 2012. It was like, you know what, whether or not this is, even if we have to keep day jobs full time for the rest of our lives to put this content out, that's what we're supposed to do. And our commitment changed, right? We stopped dabbling at that point. We stopped doubting it at that point. And we just kind of were like, all in. And it's amazing what happens when we commit like that, right, to our audience. And things really started to click. I'll be perfectly honest, it took till about 2014. So it took us about, on that first business, it really took us about 5 years to get all of the systems and all of those kind of core skills. Neither of us are, I don't have a computer science degree. We don't have degrees in this. We self-taught ourselves everything that we know. So it took about a 5-year period for it to really crank. But then the compounding takes over, and now her site reaches like 850,000 people a month. Her Pinterest reaches like 2.5 million people a month, 900,000 fans on Facebook. So her reach is literally millions and millions of people with these uplifting, light-infused, positive spiritual messages that she sends out, and the encouragement for people to meditate. And the law of reciprocation is real, and at this point it's taken over in a great way. But we're challenged. I think the universe always gives us an opportunity to screw it all up. We always get the opportunity to take the wrong choice, because that's a great learning opportunity when we do take those. But we also have those moments where we can kind of stay in alignment and stay committed to a greater goal of helping kind of elevate the consciousness of humanity through these messages. And when we stuck with that long enough and things compounded enough, it got really fun fiscally, not to mention the feedback and the messages and the constant amazing stories that we hear from people who connect with our content.
Absolutely. And in that, and whenever I heard you and that story, and one of your most impactful videos to me was your inbound marketing video. And I was just like, all right, this is what you do. All I got to do is put out Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, blogs, and podcasts, and then I can make a lot of money, is basically what I said. And it
All
took
you have
me
to
about,
do is
that's
9
right.
things.
I literally like quit watching that video and was like, all right, starting tomorrow, kind of a thing. And it lasted for about 2 weeks
Yep.
of trying all of those things at that one time. And you absolutely have led the way of the successful content creator journey, and how to not fail, and how to not kill yourself in the process. And the starting with the one, and you have that Pinterest, 10 years later, Facebook 10 years later, but what do I do today? What do I do to start? Where do I look first?
And one little kind of tweak on what you said, it's not that I've not failed. In fact, I would turn that around and say that I've gotten really good at failing. And I've failed at so many little things. I found a couple things that actually do work. Like trial and error is the greatest teacher ever. So for me, the kind of overarching theme is having a really big why. Why are you going to persevere through those failures? Because they are inevitable. If you're going to try something new, there's learning curves. There's learning curves everywhere. How do I make a good video? How do I publish a good video? How do I get YouTube to display my video? How do I make an opt-in page? How do I write a blog post? How do I publish a blog post? What the heck is there's hundreds of learning curves that you're going to have to go through. And going through a learning curve means, just like snowboarding or surfing, you're going to fall down a lot. So you need to have a really big why, a burning desire. And oftentimes I wouldn't even say oftentimes, this needs to be external, right? If your burning desire is, I need to make 10 grand a month because I want to be swinging a hammock in Mexico for the rest of my life, passive income, and I want to do nothing. That ain't big enough. That ain't going to motivate you and propel you. But when you have a huge why of, there's this audience, there's this group of people out there who are actively searching for stuff that I know, and they're being led astray by nefarious people. There's snake oil salesmen out there taking advantage of these people. And if I don't step up and do something about it, these people are going to go deeper into debt. They're going to get farther away from they are, because the con artists are going to take advantage of them. And I can't let that happen. And no one else is putting out this content for free. So I guess I'm the guy. Cool. That's literally my level. So when I show up every day to do my videos, my audience is my number one. I'm there for them. This ain't about me. This is about my audience and making sure that they have the trainings, the tools, and the teachings they need for free to help them create the life that they ultimately want, because nobody did that for me. And I went down some very slippery slopes. I fell into some scams. I wasted $10,000 or more on things that didn't need to be purchased, that were sold very aggressively. So this is all a big part of my why, that when I'm like, I don't really want to make a video today, but that is so important that it gets me into action, right? It's an external motivating force that gets leverage on me. I can't slow down. I can't stop, or my audience will think that they can stop. And the moment I stop making videos, they're like, oh, okay, cool. So Miles did videos for 3 years, then he stopped. So I want to do videos for 3 years, and then they stop. Well, that ain't how the game works. The game works, you commit to something that's coming through you, that you're ready to go all your life into, to share, because that's your calling. That's what you're here for. And if you don't know what that is, great. Just start with something and follow those nudges as you go, and find the fun and follow the fun, follow what works, follow what gets a lot of positive comments. The path evolves, right? I didn't know what it would look like, what I've created today. I only knew there was one thing I could do, which was video. And then the next day I did another video. And the next day I did another video. And my wife, for her audience, is the same thing. It's a different why. It's a different goal, but it's that external thing of, there's so much negative media around, that we are a conscious, positive media company working our butts off to get as many positive, uplifting messages in front of as many people per day. Because if we can help that one person have a little bit better day, and then they're courteous to their kids that night, and their kids decide to do their homework, and like literally the ripple effect is real. And that's what we're after. So I work in a sense in the financial, kind of helping people build business systems and marketing systems, so I can help these families earn enough income to start to maybe spend more time with their kids, maybe they can make enough income as a family unit to where both father and mother don't have to go to strange buildings for 10 hours a day, and they could like actually raise their children. What is the net effect of that on our world if I could help tens of thousands of families live that kind of a lifestyle versus a commuter lifestyle where they come home frustrated, they come home drained, and the kids are full of energy, and they're just like, I don't have time for you, I don't have energy for you, I'm frustrated, my boss sucks, my commute sucks. That's the parents' energy, and the kids are all fired up. Boy, I think a lot of our world's problems are wrapped up in that very, very, very common scenario. So what can I do to help fix that? Well, number one, I can teach people digital marketing, how to build businesses from home. What can my wife, what's that brand doing? Well, if the mom and the dad took some time to meditate, if they took 15 minutes to shift their energy after work, they're going to be more grounded. They're going to be more present. They're going to be there with their children. They're not going to be mulling over all of the perils of the day. Proper meditation is just going to bring you back to baseline. And then you get to go be present with your children. And wow, what a byproduct. What would that create at mass, at scale, because we can reach millions of people. We're already reaching millions of people, right? So
Yeah.
the scale is easy today because of these things, these smartphone supercomputers in our pockets and the 5 apps that everyone lives on. So it's these kinds of things that actually are at the core of what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing, and helping people change their philosophies and really trying to make this world a better place. Because like, what else am I here for? I'm not here to stand in front of fancy cars and try to make myself look cool. I get that. I gave up on that a long time ago. I'm here to try to help create positive change. And the cool thing is what they call the law of attraction, the law of reciprocity, karma, the law of reaping and sowing, whatever you want to call it, whatever philosophy you want to back it with. Every great philosophy and culture has had a belief around when we give lots of value to others, we're good. We're taken care of. And it's not direct. It's not like they're going to give back to us. That's just the way the world works. You tickle it over here, it laughs over there. Kind of it's an Einstein quote thing.
Yeah. I felt it in such a large way whenever what you described on just the crippling of yourself, and how I call it now turning into a dead sea, is what actually happens to us whenever we don't get these things out, and whenever we don't give without expecting anything in return, and whenever we don't
An apple tree that does not produce its apples every year, and it doesn't produce the apples for how many apples can I sell, right? No, but an apple tree that stops producing apples is dying.
Yep.
There's a lot of apple trees in this world that aren't producing anything. They aren't creating anything. They're not doing that thing they came on this earth to do, which is create something, whether it's painting, drawing, art, code, apps, imagery, photography, knitting, doesn't even matter, right? Creating smiles in the lives of others through fun vlogs. I mean, it can be translated in any way, but that's the challenge. That's the problem. And there's a lot of people who are being programmed and numbing themselves and doing everything but that which they came here to do. And that's the change I think that's why we've connected, Josh, right? Like that's one of our giant overlaps, is that's what you're passionate about. And that's kind of why we resonate so well together.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man.
Totally.
So you have a quote, break the long path up into phases, and you'll be amazed at the freedom it gives you when you tackle one phase at a time, instead of trying to eat the whole elephant at once.
Yeah.
And I to kind of bring it down, what's not trying to eat the whole elephant, the Pinterest and Facebook and podcast and YouTube.
Because that's a mistake, right? That's going to create burnout. And you got people like Gary Vaynerchuk who are like, you got to be everywhere, 28 videos a day. And it's like, well, he forgets to tell you that he's got like 25 people on payroll. He pays them like $50,000 a month to do that for him. And most people I know don't have $50,000 a month to do that for them. Yeah. So there's the beginning part is a little awkward, right? It's like driving a manual vehicle for the first time. It's like you got the clutch and the gas. There's not just one lever that you're dealing with. It's a couple of them. So one thing is introspection and looking within and figuring out, first and foremost, what kind of a content creator are you? Are you more comfortable kind of performing YouTube videos, speaking and just conversing, podcasts, or writing? Generally speaking, most people are going to lean in one direction or another. And you really want to build content based on what comes relatively naturally easy for you. Example, my wife started blogging. She loves crafting messages in the written word. She likes writing out a draft and then sleeping on it and coming back. She usually has like 8 different drafted blog posts going at the same time. And she'll just be all fired up and inspired to go into that one, and she'll get it finalized and she'll rework. And then it's just dialed. That is not how I operate at all. And for a long time, I tried to force myself to blog because I saw the success my wife created blogging, and I tried to force myself to blog for many years. But as you maybe noticed, I'm a relatively clear communicator in this spoken format. Like this moment with you, Josh, and you, the viewer, like I enjoy this a lot. I actually get charged up by this. It wasn't until I kind of discovered that this was my medium that I was able to cross a gigantic question mark off my list and just be like, dude, I'm a video maker. That's what I do. So I went all in on videos. And now I've built systems with some help of some great people who help me get those video content into my written word on my blog and onto my podcast. But I didn't do anything but videos for a year. 1 year, because those learning curves, back to those learning curves. So then, all right, so the first part is, right, the clutch is, what is your content creation methodology? What do you best at putting content out with? And then what do you know that other people would love to know? How can you help people? Who do you want to be the hero to? Who can you be the hero to? Who can you help, and what can you help them with? What's interesting is we often don't see out what we're really good at from ourselves, right? We think everyone can do, oh, everybody can do that, right? No. Crochet lady who just crochets and knits, like, well, everybody knows how to do it. It's just loop, loop, click, loop, loop, click, right?
Yeah.
No, everyone can't do that. And what you have is actually special. And there are no new messages. There are only new messengers. So your style of teaching, that thing that's been taught over and over and over on YouTube or over and over and over on a blog, your style of communicating, your style of teaching, your personality is going to connect with this whole segment and demographic of people who haven't connected with anyone before. They're searching for you every single day. They really, truly are. We have data on this. You can do keyword research and you can find the data numbers of how many people are searching for you. So that's the first part, is here's what I can teach, what I at least think I could teach somebody right now, a step in a direction. And then the other side of that is the content creation process. Like, what is the core content creation mechanism or medium that you're going to go all in on? From there, you need to go through the cycles. You need to go through the learning curve, and you need to just start brain dumping what you know. So there's usually a segment of the audience who's professionals. They've been doing reflexology or whatever it is, right, for 20 years, and they want to change. They want to get out of the office, they want to get out of the clinic, and they want to build something on the side. Great. Start teaching what you know. There's one skill called keyword research that allows you to go look at the actual search volume based on how many people are searching for this phrase versus that phrase. How to do keyword research versus best keyword research tool. I could go get data on which one of those phrases actually gets more search volume. A little meta there, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
So then you go create content based on things people are searching for. People are searching their questions, which means they're searching for answers. They're searching for solutions. You theoretically have created a result for people for years because you're a professional, and you just go teach them. Now, there's another segment of people who are like, well, I don't know nothing. I ain't done nothing. I've been playing games all my life. Well, you could probably start a channel on that game that you've been playing all your life, to be perfectly honest with you, right? It's your hobbies can be that source. And when you find the overlap of what you're good at, what comes kind of naturally to you, what you can help people with, and what's fun, that's where the magic really starts, is that intersection, because then you get in the vibe, in that mode of, and you know what your content creation method is, you just start creating. And then you're in the flow of creation. And what happens is momentum builds on momentum. There ain't no sitting on a couch waiting for momentum to hit you. We have to get up and move, right? And someone who's incredibly obese and wants to lose weight, you don't start by trying to run a 10K marathon day one. You get up and you walk around the block, and then you're like, I did that. And then the next day you get up and you walk around the block again. You might not even make it as far. You might make it. Doesn't matter. You just show up and keep doing it. And it's that approach of show up, do again, show up, do again, show up, do again. My first videos were terrible. My 30th video was a little bit better. My 90th video was fairly better, and so on and so forth. Now I've done like 550, 575 videos. They're pretty good. So it's that cycle, right? A pastor's first sermon is probably not their best one. Yeah. It's probably nerve-wracking, and it probably scares the bejeebas out of them, and they're there and they do it anyway, and their second one gets a little better, and by year 2 they're having fun, they're lighting it up, they're playing they're playing to the crowd at that point, right? And everybody wants that experience, but we have to go through the learning curve at first. You got to fall down on that snowboard hill enough times to figure it out, to actually start to really carve your way down the mountain.
Yeah, no, that's baller. And your content creator muscles are huge. That's what I was getting ready. How to get huge content creator muscles with Miles Beckler.
Yep. One rep at a time.
One fear I have for people, and I'm thinking of one person specifically, like we kind of get in this rhythm of YouTube, and then we hear about podcasts, or we hear about whatever. Like, when do you
squirrel?
Yeah, exactly right. When do you get into kind of phase 2? Like
yep.
And it's going to be different for everybody for sure, but just a pretty safe way to think about phase 2.
Well, let's break up the phases real quick too. And it's funny because phases are like a nesting thing.
Yeah.
So phase one, I consider to be audience growth. You have to grow an audience. I like using search engines to do this because what happens is my early videos from 3 years ago and 2 years ago still bring thousands and thousands of people per week into my ecosystem. You don't get that on social media. You only get that with a search engine. So number one is audience growth. Number two is having a trust growth mechanism. Another way of saying it is having an email list. You get people to opt in your email list for some exchange of value, a free course, a free template, a free worksheet, a free video training, something that they're going to value. And then step three is monetizing that, right? Building products, selling affiliate products, etc. So those are the three main phases. And then within the audience growth phase, generally you have that core content creation process, and then you have a syndication system that you want to build out that should tie in and it should work with it. So everyone's different, and there's a couple of variables. Number one is how much time do you have? Most people, time is one of the biggest limiting factors, right? We all have the device we need to start recording. Period. My videos were all done on my cell phone and same laptop. This is like a 7-year-old laptop that's probably worth $175 now max. Almost all of my first 400 videos were done on these two devices I already had. This ain't even a fancy phone. This is not a flagship phone. It's a $250 phone. So we just need to start the process. And what happens is at first it's very awkward. And then you get to the point where you feel like, you're like, man, I think I got this. And then you tank and you throw out some flops and you got to deal with that. But there comes this point when of the time you have available, you notice that you're able to do all of the things that once took every minute you had available, right? If you got 2 hours a night that you can dedicate between work and the family, and it takes up 100% of that 2 hours a night, you're going to find that you hit this point where you're able to get it done in an hour. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, man, I got it done. Shoot, what am I doing now? I don't know. That's the moment when, you go through that cycle for a week or two or a few rhythm, you get several videos done and you're like, dude, I still got time available. And maybe you'll start researching the next video. But that's when you start to think about, okay, how do I syndicate this content? What's that next best place for this content to go? So if you're doing the videos, setting it up as a podcast is a really easy thing to do. It's a 15-minute process. And then so you dig in on that and you learn how to get it. I got a video that shows you step-by-step how to do it. And then you get that built out in a way that now that one piece of content you're putting out is going into 2 places. So the viewers on YouTube can watch, but also the iTunes podcasters, and the growth curve of podcasting is going massive. They'll be able to listen to you as well. And then once that's easy, then it's like, okay, well, how do I transcribe this with temi.com, TEMI.com? Thank you for the tip on that, by the way, Josh. And how do I start to transcribe this and get this into blog form? And then all of a sudden that's going to be like overwhelming, and you'll get better at it and better at it and better at it. And it'll shorten down the time to complete a full cycle, and then you're good. I personally will go all in on those 3 platforms, the YouTube, the blog, and the podcast, before I'm ever going to do anything on social media. I think social media can support those efforts, but as in and of itself, I don't believe social media is a great long-term strategy. It can give you short-term boosts, which is why share your videos on social if you want. But the owners of social media platforms have proven time and time again that they're going to give you lots of reach and engagement at first, and then they're going to reel that back in, and they're going to charge you for the engagement that you once got. And I don't like playing that game. So I'm more of a search person, which I've said probably 4 times now. But there's a very distinct, you get residual benefits from it. So I focus on those 3 core things first. And then if you want to add on the Pinterest, if you have an audience that's heavily female, quilting, knitting, like that is all perfect, ripe prime. If you're doing backyard designs, backyard barbecues is your niche, backyard fire pits, perfect. People use Pinterest for home building stuff, right? So knowing where your people are, if you want to get into social, that's kind of one of the most important things is where's your demographic hanging out, and how can you get your messages that you're doing, your long form messages that you're creating elsewhere in front of those audiences as well. And again, it took me, so when I started my channel, 2016, I had 13 years of experience making money online. It was over 13 years for my first check from doing affiliate marketing. And I'd been online full-time since 2010, 6 years full-time. It took me a year and 3 or 4 months to get all 3 of those systems, the YouTube, the blog, and the podcast. It took me a year and 3 months to get all that done. And I try to set that perspective of, I had some skills. I've done this. One of my first rodeo, right? I've done this many times over, and it still took me over a year. So if it takes you 3 years, That's par for the course. It took my wife and I 5 years to really kind of get over that hump our first time, both going all in on it. But here's the thing. If it's in you, if your passion, and if it can create the kind of income you need and the lifestyle freedom you desire, and you're helping people, why wouldn't you do it? Like, if it takes you 3 years, who cares? 5 years, who cares? 10 years, who cares? If that's what you're here to do it. Get started.
Well, I love that answer. I've been thinking about like, what is life? Like, what is a life? And it really comes down to time. And what you said is that I allocate 2 hours to figure out this podcast thing, or 2 hours to figure out this YouTube thing. And whenever it takes me less than 2 hours, whenever that time that I allocate for it, there is room in that available time that I have directed, that I've dedicated for this self-sacrificing.
Yep.
That's whenever you add in the next one. So that's baller.
Back to the snowboard analogy. If you're snowboarding and you're terrible and you're falling all the time, it's going to take you a long time to get down that hill.
Yeah.
The moment you can link your heel edge and your toe edge, you can go up and down that bunny hill fast, right? Like I could dust a bunny hill, whereas most noobs are falling. They get up, they fall, they get up, they fall, they get up. So it's that whole process. Once you get to the point where you can really just rail down that run and not stop, not slow down, and it's just smooth, and you get to the bottom, you're like, woo, yeah, it's time to go to that next lift. It's time to go to the blue squares. It's time to go to that next challenge, if you will. And then it's, it's scary and it's challenging, and you'll figure it out and you'll get better. And then there's that next challenge. And the cool thing is it's perpetual. And the byproduct of this is helping others. And when you help others correctly in this day and age, the byproduct of that is income.
Yep.
Magic.
It is magic. It's heaven on earth, one post at a time is right. What it is. So,
but one of the things that kind of concerns me most is most people are just numbing themselves on Netflix benders every night, ignoring the opportunity that's here because they just are frustrated with what is, and there is a cliff that we're kind of speeding towards. So my dad grew up in an era when it was like, get a good job through a union, work your 35 years, 40 years, and you're good. He made it 32 or 33 years and they fired him. 2 years before his full vesting, they fired him, so they didn't have to pay him as much. Now his entire retirement was a little bit less, and that happened several years ago. The world is changing. Work is changing, and you are either going to be kind of like complacent until the change is forced upon you, and then you're going to have an existential crisis. And that becomes challenging. And this is a part of why the overdose rates and the suicide rates in our country are going crazy right now. It's a very scary data point. Or you're going to preemptively start something that you love, that's fun. If you love juggling, awesome. You could build an entire business around juggling, and you could review all the juggling ball and the juggling wands and the juggling scarves. And like, if you're into cardistry and like just anything, whatever you love, what does your family love? It could be an absolute family adventure. There's entire families who do toy reviews with their kids. There's families who do homesteading videos with their entire family. And when you start to build this preemptively, you get to the point where you are consciously creating the path you want to take through this life in a way that you want, with the people you want to spend time with, being of value. And it feels better. There's no ceiling to how much someone could earn through this approach, because you can connect with tens of millions of people per month. And if you give value to tens of millions of people per month, there's a lot of potential income in that for you.
Yeah. I'm going through a book right now. It's called, anyways, I forget the name of it, but it talks about kind of 17 things for 2020 to 29 based on the phases and the era of we are in our world.
Cool.
For something. Anyways, and one of the 17 things is producer, and is creating instead of consuming. And so I mean, it is the time is now, the place is now, the midlife crisis ending is that this is an answer, a huge answer to it, is creating from you, becoming you as fast as possible, figuring out why you're here. And
we all have the devices, right? It is not a technological challenge. Like, YouTube charges me nothing to upload my videos. In fact, they want to give me money, right? Through advertising if I want. And I think one other thing is really, so the juggling, let's go with the juggling a little bit. I just bought juggling balls. I think juggling's fun. I can kind of do it. And when I'm around all my nieces and nephews, they think it's magic. So I'm like, I should probably get a little better at this. There's this dude, Mr. M, and I bought the Mr. M juggling balls. And Mr. M is a media guy, right? Yes, there's juggling things sold sold, but he's a media guy. My wife and I sell all kinds of products, from books and cards and different things to digital download things, but we consider ourselves a media business. And I think everyone needs to kind of take that to heart, is
Yeah.
thinking of themselves as a media business, and create more media than you consume is the name of the game. And even if you don't know what to do, just start, right? Like whatever, like, hey, I'm into juggling. I'm just going to watch. This is how I juggle. Here's juggling 5 balls. Whatever it is, you start, and eventually you'll get a comment that's like, how did you do that? At minute 3 of the video, you did this instead of that. Why? And you're like, oh, well, I'll make you a video on that. And the
Yep.
path will continue to unfold as long as you keep showing up. Takes a surge of momentum, right? Momentum builds on momentum. So it takes a big surge to get that momentum going. But once you do, it feels good. It's it's consuming. It's awesome.
Well, thanks for overcoming that fear, creating that momentum, sticking to and establishing that momentum. Literally, because you did that, I am here. Because you did that, I was, you were instrumental in overcoming the most down part of my life. And thank you for showing up, talking about marketing, which was a need that I had, and then also talking about like real life and how to live and have fun and enjoy your day instead of just make money. Because
Perfect day.
it's,
How to live a perfect day every day,
yeah,
right? Because that's the ultimate goal. Money is just a tool. It's a mechanism. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you, Josh. Like, it's that kind of feedback, right? Like, I'm not in it for the money. The money's great. I'm not lying, but like, it's this that I'm really in it for. And I truly believe millions of people can do more fulfilling things, can live a more fulfilled life, more time with the family, more time with the kids. You can actually raise your kids,
yeah.
not outsource the raising of the kids because you need to go to this building to make money. There's a way to encompass your perfect life, your perfect day. I believe it. I'm living it. And I love to hear that you're on the path too. And I really would love to see the comments from the viewers. Leave a comment if you watched till the end. Love to know that you made it to the end, and go create something.
Yeah, flex your content creator muscle. Thanks, Miles Beckler.
Cheers, Josh. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.